Welcome. This is Map It Marketing and I am your host, Rachel Klaver. I love helping small business owners become more confident and more capable with their marketing. So this podcast is all here to help you do just that. It's me and the help of some great guests helping you learn new skills, new strategies and ideas. Let's jump in and get started. If you are an e-commerce business and you want to run Facebook ads this year or are thinking about what you need to change, then this episode is for you. Hi, my name is Rachel Klaver and I am the host of Map It Marketing. Today I'm joined by my guest Susie Klaver. She's got the same surname as me because she's my daughter and she's been working with us since the beginning of 2019. Part of her role is to work with our clients to set up their Facebook funnels and on e-commerce and then also train them in how to use them themselves as they go through. Part of the hard parts with this is that Facebook consistently changes what it's doing and what is best practice. So it does create a few little hairy things when we go to train someone and Facebook changes the whole thing over again and we have to adapt. In this episode, we're going to walk through what Susie enjoys about creating ads, what she finds frustrating, and what she finds doesn't always do well that we think would always do well. She's also going to cover what common mistakes we see when people are making their own ads and what you could do to get better results on your ads, which may not actually include the ads itself. We're also going to look at how people can improve their results and what advice we would give you for you to run your own ads. I really enjoyed this episode, partly because I got a chance to hang out with my amazing daughter, but also because I know that Facebook ads can be such a hard thing for people when you are trying to run your own business. I know for me, the day I could outsource it to Susie, I personally felt quite a lot better as well. So I do understand that. In this episode, we are going to walk through some things you may not understand or follow. If you've got questions, please come along to our Facebook group, Map It Marketing, ask questions about this episode or advice, and we can endeavour to help you as much as possible in there. And if you're a regular of the show, you may have noticed that our podcast art and our intro and outros are a bit different. We've had a bit of a makeover. Susie did it for me. So enjoy it. And also thanks to my amazing podcast audio editor, Vera, for helping with the intros and outros. Right, let's get started with this episode. Hi, and welcome to Map It Marketing. I'm your host, Rachel Klaver, and I've got a special treat for you today. I've got one of our Facebook ads experts in our team with us in this podcast who also happens to be my daughter, Susie. So before we jump in, and first of all, obviously, thank you so much for joining and listening. I do need to warn you about this episode, simply because Susie is amazing, but Susie's my oldest daughter. She has to organize my life a lot because I'm not great at life admin and things like that, which has created an interesting dynamic. She worked with us full time when she left school, and then she's now gone, and she'll explain later what she's doing now. And she's working with us part time, but she's used to, since the age of 2, truly. Would you agree, Susie?
Yeah, I think it pretty accurately, yeah.
So she's been managing the practical life skills of my life because I'm not great at that stuff. Like she used to have to regularly break in the window and jumping down to things to get in because I left my keys locked in the house. So there's an interesting dynamic between the two of us. If you pick up stuff, it's not an HR issue. We have a great relationship, especially because we live in different cities, and we do love each other. But if you pick up a funny feeling, it's because of that. Would that be fair, Susie?
Yeah, I will say that adding can break into second story windows by the age of 8 was a weird thing to put on my CV, but I'm appreciative for it. It's
seriously, you are really good at it. I don't want to tell, we shouldn't let people know how good you're at it, but you have a special skill.
Yeah, I haven't used it since being an adult, but it's always in my back pocket.
It's totally in your back pocket. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in, and Susie, thank you so much. It's an amazing thing for any of my guests to be on here, but I have to say I'm super excited about this because, as I was saying to Rebecca, your sister this morning, truly out of all the people in the world, besides my husband, Raj, you guys are my total favorite people in the actual universe, and forcing my 21-year-old daughter to spend some time with me on this podcast is my A++ mother moment of the day.
Life hack. Employ your kids.
Yes, employ your kids so you get to hang out with them all the time. So tell me, Susie, tell everyone else about you and what you're doing and why you're doing this stuff with us as well.
All right. Well, as my mom said, I'm Susie. I have been working formally for Identify since the start of 2019. I worked full-time over my gap year, and then have transitioned to like part-time when I went to uni. So, and I've been doing Facebook ads since maybe around the end of 2020, and that's kind of become my primary focus and while I'm at uni. So of course uni's only 24 weeks in a year, so the rest of the time I work more hours, but over course time I work part-time. I study history and English down in Wellington, so yeah.
And one of the things you like about Facebook ads, you do lots of other stuff for us as well, and you are like the biggest wizard when it comes to Canva, like magic.
I love Canva.
By the way, for those of you that are watching the video, I just got a new gift from Canva. Well, I bought it. It's not really a gift.
The box was a gift.
The box was a gift. It has this amazing box. For those of you that can't see it, like seriously, it's gorgeous. I'm going to make a little video to show people, but it came and I'm so chuffed. So I love Canva too, but you are a Canva wizard, which helps with Facebook. But really for you, the thing you like, what is the thing that you like most about Facebook ads?
Well, yeah, as you say, I spend a lot of time on Canva. I really like making kind of unique and specific to the brand, but kind of unique and creative, and kind of having the opportunity to play around and create beautiful ads. I really like making the more like pretty aesthetic kind of things, or more, or like even more like funny ones. Like I've got a client at the moment and we're doing her Valentine's Day ads, and she has a candy shop. So of course Valentine's Day is kind of the best time of the year. We also did Halloween and stuff, but Valentine's Day really fits in with the whole brand. And I made an ad yesterday, which may or may not run, but I was playing around and I was like, I know what I want to do. I want to grab some like screen captures from some of the most iconic rom-coms. So I got the Say Anything boombox one, which I know is a bit of a problem.
Let me just say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you chose that one, because
yes, I was considering. Yeah, I was considering, the Heath Ledger 10 Things I Hate About You, which was that's a personal favorite, or maybe the Pride and Prejudice proposal scene, but I was like, maybe that's just my English major coming through. Not everybody will find that as resonating.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, the boombox is a safe bet. So like I put their logo over his face and said, we're meant to be together. So creating stuff like that I really enjoy, and just being able to create kind of interesting content that reaches each people at different stages of the funnel.
And we're going to talk about the funnel in a minute and talk about that, because some people might go, what funnel? Don't I just post? But one of the things around that, and we were talking about this yesterday, because we've got a new client who might be starting with us, and one of the things that she said that she was missing from another agency was that long copy thing. So like, while you love the images, the other reason you love Facebook ads and this is also Instagram ads, by the way, everybody, because it's the same, just to explain. Facebook ads means it's also on Instagram. But it is partly the copy too, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think there's a really interesting balance you have to strike when having complementary copy to your images. Because some images kind of speak for themselves, and it's how to not overwhelm the person going through their feed with a lot of copy and a really like maybe an image that doesn't quite match up what your copy is saying. I think that there is an important balance between having this long form copy and short form. Like I find that with reminder ads, so for really hot audiences, they don't really need much at all. It's kind of like we're just thinking of you, kind of reminding them to come back to you. Whereas with cold audiences, they function better with this long form in my experience. And that's more kind of, here's this cool recipe, or here's something you didn't know about us, or that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of trust building that works in earlier on. So finding ways to complement your copy with your images is a bit of an art, I think.
One of the things that we've talked about in the before, like you have got clients like the candy shop, it's actually called the lolly shop.
The lolly shop.
Got the right name. I was trying to like protect the privacy, but I was like, oh, it sounds like a competitor. The lolly shop. I like that one.
they suit having beautiful ads. It helps them. And we've got other clients, premium brands, the same thing. The more beautiful the image is, the better. But one of the things you found distressing was that's not always the case, right?
It's very frustrating. As somebody who, I mean, I'm a, Gen Z. I like the beautiful ads, but it took me a while to kind of appreciate that not all businesses are marketing to me. In fact, quite a few of them aren't. I'm not the target audience for like a lawn trimmer or a retirement village. I'm not the one who's looking at the ads, and I'm not the one who's going to be clicking on them. So what I think is beautiful doesn't really matter. And having to sometimes ads that are really simple, basic colors, really easy to read, work really well. And that's very frustrating. But, it's an important thing to kind of recognize who your target audience is, and sometimes beautiful ads just don't resonate.
And that's one of the things I think you, especially as someone in our team, does very well, is when you're creating, I'm going to use the word funnel again, but I promise we'll explain what it means. When we're creating a Facebook funnel and you're planning it out, and you really work through very carefully kind of what that customer journey is all the way through and what you need to do, you actually will create a lot of different ads for the different ones. And why are you doing that then? Like, is it just to waste our time, or like, what is the reason that you're doing it for?
Yeah, well, this is something I noted down as something I think people get a little bit confused when they go to do their Facebook ads. Just creating a couple ads and putting them across the board or across the funnel. And this is a bit of a, maybe not the right way to go for a couple of reasons. You have to take your customer on a bit of a journey. It's the same with selling. Facebook is just another means of selling your product. And you can't talk to the same way to people who are right about to buy as you would to people who've never heard of you. So with the funnel, and maybe it's a good place to explain what it is now, but we kind of go from the top of people have no idea who you are, they've never been to your website, they don't follow you on Instagram, they don't follow you on Facebook, never heard of you, but they might be like vaguely interested in something that you do. You have to get this group of people and transition them to be ready to buy. They've added stuff to cart, just haven't committed, they're so close but not ready. The way you talk to people is going to be different at different stages of that process, and the ad creative also reflects that. So something like a dynamic product ad of all your products works really well with the hot audiences, the people closest to the purchase, because they already know what you do. They're really close to being purchased, and then we can show them the thing that they want and they'll click on it. They don't work quite as well in the cold ads because they're very broad, they're very general, especially if you've got a lot of products. So yeah, the way you have to have a wide variety of ads, ad formats, ad short, long copy, all that kind of stuff to suit the stage of the journey you're on.
So I'm going to, that was such a great explanation. I feel like I almost should have used this like as an appraisal, because like I'm really reflecting back. But your, that would be bad HR, I reckon.
Yeah, I think if you use this as like a my annual
how much you know.
Yeah. God, I wasn't feeling nervous, but now.
No, I promise I wasn't. I tell you, it's okay, because like I freaking love you. So in more than ways of you being my daughter, I also just freaking love having you on my team. So so when it comes to oh, by the way, guys, one of the things that's quite interesting about being a mother-daughter team is we have very different personal relationship to our business relationship. In fact, sometimes Susie's quite comfortable calling me Rachel, for example, whereas at home I'm Ma.
Yes.
Not mum.
No, Ma.
Ma.
Whenever I reference you in like a business setting, you're Rachel. But no, to me, you are Ma.
Yes, that
and
is
I got
true.
all my sisters to do it too.
Yeah, she got all of them to call me Ma.
Yeah, I say all of them. There's not like a tribe. There's two of them. Yeah. All of them makes it sound like there's a lot. There's only three of us in total.
The tribe is enough.
Yeah, that's true. We're a powerful force.
You mentioned dynamic product ad, and for some people who are aware of stuff, they would know what that means. Do you want to give an explanation? So we need dynamic, the websites we normally prefer to work with if we're working with e-commerce. So this is an e-commerce thing.
Yes, this is specifically
we would normally work with like, what is it? Like we would normally work with e-commerce like Shopify or WooCommerce. They're the ones that are easy, but there's lots of other ones out there. What is a dynamic product ad?
Okay, so a dynamic product ad is having your website and your Facebook ads talk to each other.
Yeah.
And having dynamic elements. So these elements draw from your website and can reflect customer behavior. So if I have, I don't know if anybody else has done this, but, you know, like I spend a lot of time browsing stuff on my phone. And sometimes I'll find some like shoes or something. I'm like, these are beautiful, but they're $300. I don't know. This is a little bit much for me. I'll think about it. And then you're on Facebook the next day and they come up in your feed and you're like, wow, this is a sign from the universe.
Yeah, it's definitely a sign from the universe. I'm taking
it's a sign. It's
definitely a sign.
The universe is telling me I need these boots.
Yep, it is.
So that would be a dynamic product ad. What they've done is instead of having thousands of ads that have each product in them, they have made something that, like, usually it's like a carousel format that shows the product first that I'm most likely to click on. So it takes my behavior on their website and takes it into Facebook and shows me it on Facebook.
So that was great. That was a great explanation. Now, I actually saw an ad from one of our clients, Millie's, today on Facebook. Yes. And it did something that I've never seen before on an ad. And I know how to do ads and stuff like that, but I'm wondering if it's something you did. It had like, you're like, what was it? It had like a little thing that said low in stock.
Yes. Okay, so that is probably, was it?
It was a carousel post.
It was a carousel post, right?
Yeah.
And did it say it on the image?
Yes.
Like a little sticker?
Yes.
Yes, this is something that is maybe not new, but something I have recently
I think
found.
it's new.
I think it might be new. But you can do these overlays on your carousels or also in your collections, and I'll talk about collections later because I love collections. But on your carousels, and you can say make the little sticker say the price, or like if it's had crossed
it's
off
always had
price.
the price, but I don't think it had the stock controls unless I've missed it.
Yeah, I think it might be new.
Yeah,
and it might have been something I was playing around with. So
I loved it because actually, like in an ad, you know, like one of the things that we talk about that's the difference in e-commerce and service-based is e-commerce is about igniting that, overriding that I want and turning it into I need. Yeah. So I was going through, and I wasn't even shopping. Like I love buying from Millie's, as you know, and like they've been a client, but I also love buying from them. And I'm just shopping through, and then I hit this, that there's a Le Creuset ramekins, and it said low in stock, and I was just like, what? I need to get some. I don't even need Le Creuset ramekins.
They're beautiful, and they're low in stock.
They're low in stock. What if I miss out? What if I miss out? Magic.
Yeah. So those kind of things, yeah. It's like presenting you a piece of chocolate cake and just gotta have it.
You're saying, look, if you don't have it now, it's going to be gone because I'm going to eat it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. My Rebecca uses that. My daughter, your sister, Rebecca uses that with tiramisu.
Oh, is it gone?
Oh, it went really fast. Yeah. Damn. But she was like, if you don't eat your serve tonight, it won't be there in the morning.
Can't guarantee it in the morning.
Can't guarantee it in the morning. So we ate our serve. Yeah. Okay. So you talked about what you enjoy about creating ads, and we've talked a little bit about frustrations around sometimes, but what are some things that you do find frustrating with Facebook ads?
So I had a little bit of think about this, and we've talked about the pretty ads, and then I kind of had a light bulb moment, and I was like, you know what the most frustrating thing is? iOS 14.
Oh,
and I'm sure
yes.
If you listen to any kind of marketing podcast to do, or like any kind of marketing material to do with Facebook ads, you've heard about iOS 14, and it's the bane of our existence. But for people who don't know, iOS 14, I think they're on iOS 14.5 now, but it's a
iOS
software...
15, we're up to 15.
What?
Yeah, I'm up to 15.
Well, I'm on Samsung, so I'm not part of the problem. So iOS 14 or 15 was a software update for Apple users that came in the start of last year.
Yep, January 2021.
Yeah. January 2021. And basically gave people the option to opt out of tracking, which is really good from like a, like a individual consumer perspective. It means I don't get tracked when I'm doing stuff. It's quite nice from privacy perspective. However, it is the complete frustration of marketers everywhere, because it means we can no longer track quite a big proportion of people when they're engaging with our ads. And that means it's really hard to retarget to them. So this impacts businesses in different ways depending on kind of who their market is. So it's like Millie's, for example, they have a very high percentage of their audience who's clicking on ads with iOS. It was like 80% or something. Like it was very high.
It's very high.
I think the for New Zealand, I think 55% of people who have mobile phones have an iPhone. So it's about half of the people who might be engaging with your ads on average might not be able to be tracked. And this means it's complicated when it comes to reporting and telling you how well your ads are doing, but also the whole retargeting thing.
And one of the things I think has broken my heart and I haven't got over yet is one of the things I loved about Facebook is it's always been a beautiful place to get reporting. And I think with like anything with social media, the reason social media is growing for marketing, not just because it's so easy to access and a lot of our social media tools are free, is that it gives you great analytics. Like if I run a radio campaign, they can't say how many people exactly heard my radio message. They can give you an approximation. But if you're on Facebook, it can say this reached 6,732 people. And you're like, sweet, that's how many people I've reached. With the change of iOS 14, I used to, like you and I know, when we do reporting, we would be go, oh, look, and here's your return of ad spend, and here's how many people have seen this ad, and here's how many add to carts, and how many purchases. And it was a beautiful little total at the end, and I could just quickly do a report. And now it's completely different. And a lot of our clients stress out because they'll go, when they're looking themselves, they'll go and look at the campaign level and see nothing going on. And where is it? Where do they find it?
So usually you have to, especially for like warm or like conversion ads, you have to click into the campaign and then go to either usually you can see at the ad set level and then count it up. Or sometimes very rarely, maybe you'd have to look at the ad level, but usually at the ad set level. So that's like the second thing along. Campaigns are kind of structured like an umbrella. So there's
I like that.
Yeah. Well, check out my workbook. It's all in there. So like campaign is at the top, right at the top. And as you move down, you go into the campaign, the ad sets. And then from the ad sets, it branches off into ads. So you can have all the ad sets under one campaign and then individual ads under the ad set. So you do have to manually go through the ad sets and count it up and then calculate your return of ad spend there.
And I think that's one of the things I found quite tricky is that you do actually have to have a calculator out to kind of
I'm not good enough at maths for that.
No, and then even when you're doing that, like we've seen reporting where we've got clients where historically they've had a 1 in 10 return on ad spend, and we've known that, and their turnover hasn't changed or it's even gone up, but the reporting says it's now 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 or 1 in 7 because it's not clipping the ticket and seeing everything.
Yeah,
and
so
that's frustrating.
It's very frustrating. So with other clients, we've been able to look at their Google Analytics or like their email marketing statistics and see that their revenue is increasing or they're getting traffic from Facebook or from Instagram, but we can't see it on the Facebook side. So if we don't have access to their analytics, it's very hard to kind of quantify that they are working.
Yeah.
And that's a big frustration of mine.
So I know that one of the things that we say, occasionally we have clients that if we know that they've got like a really well functioning business and there's a whole lot of stuff going on around their social stuff, sometimes they'll come through to us without doing strategy. But most of our clients, they need to do a marketing strategy before they do Facebook ads. What do you find with the client? Like when we look at their social and their organic social, what impact does a really good, strong organic social media on Facebook and Instagram particularly, and also maybe email marketing have on ads?
They're really important. There's kind of two aspects of it I would probably talk to. So the first one is you need to have a reasonably active Facebook or Instagram page because of trust. You know, if somebody clicks on your ad and you haven't posted since 2018 and you have 14 followers, why would I buy from you? You don't look very trustworthy. People don't seem to be engaging with you. You don't seem to have a very engaged, trusted customer base. So on that level, it's really important just on the whole selling thing. Even if you're not running Facebook ads, I think it's still very important to have a strong organic marketing, just so people can kind of verify who you are and all that kind of stuff. And then the other side of it is that we use, in light of iOS 14, we use social engagers such as, you know, people who like your Facebook page, people who like your Instagram page, and your mailing list to build audiences that serve really well. So if you have a strong presence on both of these sites and you're doing regular email marketing and your email list is really engaged, that means we can make really quality audiences in your Facebook ads. And we can then also make them into lookalike audiences, which basically take all of the data from your people in your either social engagers or your mailing list and find people who act very similarly online. And then we can market to those people. And that tends to work very well as well. But you do need to have these strongholds in your marketing of engaged people who we can then remarket to.
Because I think one of the reasons that with social engagement has become so important, and I've really thought about this, with the iOS 14 changes, that social engagement, Facebook can track that. Like, you're not going off the platform, so it's stuff that they can physically track. They can see it. They're not needing to use a pixel on your website or anything like that. And so that becomes very accurate. And we have seen, haven't we, clients where that becomes one of the highest converting audiences is the social engagers audience. Pretty
much across the board for my clients, the social engagers tends to be the best converting warm audience. And if it stops converting, I'm like, this is a problem. There's something going wrong here. They do just tend to be the highest performing one, and it might be that it's the most accurately tracked. So I usually say, if your social engagers is working, it kind of indicates to us that the rest of your funnel, or at least your ads at the ad level, are doing what they're supposed to be doing. We know that they're hitting the ideal market. We know that your ideal market is engaging with them because we can see the success with your social engagers.
And one of the things I've just done a podcast before this, Susie, which will probably run a week before yours, and it was on hashtags, and I learned something in there. So one of the things that I learned was that your hashtags very much have to relate exactly to the content that's on there. So lots of people tell us that, you know, if you're marketing to Auckland or you're marketing to Melbourne, you should have that hashtag in there, but you should only do that if it relates to the content. And I think one of the things that I would encourage people to do is, if you're marketing to a specific geographical area, create content that specifically talks to that geographical area, because then you're more likely to get an engaged audience of people who really are your target market.
So, for example, like I usually run the ads for Identify.
You do.
Albeit sometimes they take the back seat to client work.
They do.
When they run, I do run them. And we, of course, run some, or we at least used to, less so now, but run events throughout New Zealand. And so I'd be the one in charge of running these ads to get people to come to the events. And what I found is that when you put like the location name in the copy or in the image and make it specific to that region, it gets better results.
Yeah.
So like general things, you know, like you make it really clear that I'm talking to you in Taranaki, I'm coming to see you, and I want you to come see me. And kind of like making it quite specific to who you're talking to. This kind of relates to that whole why you need different ads at different stages of the funnel thing. It needs to be like, I'm talking directly to you. Kind of like what you talk about with your email marketing. You want it to feel like they're kind of reaching out. This is a business you can trust, and they're engaging with you. And this also links into the why dynamic ads are also really good, because it's a personal thing. Like the person seeing that ad, that is unique to them. They're seeing that product that they're interested in. And, you know.
So in terms of like, obviously common mistakes, I think one of the mistakes we made as an agency when we were when we had like a lot of growth over COVID-19 because we were getting funding, and often we'd go, hey, we'll do Facebook ads with you. And we got some people who had amazing results and some didn't. And our mistake, and we don't make it now, is we're quite fussy now around if you don't have good organic marketing, we don't feel confident and capable that we're going to make a really good impact on you. We'd rather you spend some time and we can help you make that better. And then once that's going, we'll get the results. Because don't you? There's quite a dramatic difference between the clients that have high social engagement and the ones that don't.
Yeah.
It's difficult to grow and scale.
It's very hard. So like one of the things I like noted down for like why do people get better results for others is they have more website traffic and they have strong organic marketing. These things kind of go hand in hand. It's really hard to build a funnel when you have nothing else kind of feeding into it. Facebook ads can be really effective, but they're almost one of the last things to do with your marketing that you should focus on. It should be, is my website accessible? Is the checkout process for e-commerce simple? Do I have all the other stuff that makes a good website, like testimonials or reviews, really good product images? Is my social media good? Am I posting frequently? Am I using reels? Am I doing stories? Am I replying to people's comments? Do people feel like they can engage with me? Because sometimes you have people who have like established businesses, but on the marketing side, they're kind of just getting started. They might have an Instagram, but they haven't posted on it for the past few years, or they're posting once every 4 months, and their audience isn't engaged, or their website technically exists, but it's very hard to use and it's very hard to shop from. You're not going to get any success with Facebook ads until you fix that stuff first. It's something that you do when you've got all the other building blocks and you have a little bit of a community that you can then grow from. So I think it can be quite frustrating as a business owner, and I know I can feel that it's frustrating as well, to start a funnel and it not really work, but it's because all the other building pieces aren't in place. So as you say, we over COVID, we had quite a few people come through, and I think one of my clients were like, we love doing your ads, but I think that maybe we should turn them off and you focus on growing in this area, and then when you're ready, come back and we can either turn them on if they're ready to go, or do a little bit of a refresh for you.
And that particular client, like I remember when we worked with, I'm just thinking one in particular that you and I were working with.
I don't know if we think you're the same.
Yeah, I think, but I've watched her really grow. And she's done,
fantastic.
And I reckon if she comes back in 6 months, it will make a huge impact. And I do think there is a timing thing. I think if you're wanting to do any paid ads at all, I'd recommend you learn just a simple traffic ad. And I'll put in the show notes, I've got like a getting started with Facebook ads YouTube video. And at one point it shows you actually how to do a traffic ad. It's just, a traffic ad is basically an ad that it's got information and an image, and then it's got a link to your website. And so because we want to see is maybe there is a traffic problem, maybe it's not getting enough people to your website. But if you're not converting, say like for every 100 people that come to that website, if you're not resulting on 2 to 3% of those people becoming a sale, or if they're not downloading a lead generation,
getting in touch, all that kind of stuff.
Then you know that it's a website or a messaging problem. It's not the traffic, and that can save you a lot of grief. You'd agree?
Definitely. So as the traffic ads, we have kind of different objectives with our ads. Traffic is just getting people to your site. Conversions is then we wanting them to add to cart, we want them to purchase, all that kind of stuff. So traffic is we just want them to come land and have a look around. So it can be a good place to grow that traffic and grow maybe that audience. So often, this is kind of another thing that can be a little bit frustrating, is people usually won't be ready to commit on the first time they land on your site. They'll usually take a little. Why not? I know, it's so annoying. It's like, come on, just buy stuff from me.
Buy something.
I'm awesome.
Yeah.
But they need a little bit of time to get to know you or to trust you and know your products. So if people land on your site, the kind of objective isn't for them to then maybe buy something, but it's to like your Facebook page or go follow you on Instagram. And then you can start building up that trust and then hopefully make that sale. So you want to get those people into your funnel or like into your net a little bit, into your web, and then you can go through.
I like the way you sit into your web, because you know that
you're welcome.
I've got my Be a Spider Build a Web book coming out later on this year. Shameless plug for it.
Shameless plug. You're welcome. Thank
you very well. Thank you. I'll send you like a little bonus. Perfect. I don't know what their bonus will be really. Maybe a block of cheese. You're a student. Okay. So in terms of like sort of things like I guess our advice for running ads for people who are just getting started is to not hit the boost button and learn how to do a traffic ad.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And people often say, I don't boost, but we find out they're doing it because they get told by Facebook to expand the reach or...
Yes.
But that's a boost.
There's a boost. Don't do it. Boosting doesn't give you much control. It's like... I can't think of a good analogy, but it's having one piece of the puzzle when you can have it all.
Yeah, and I think that there is like, we're not totally anti-boost. Having a boost for like, or boosting a thing for an event, and it's like, because it's a short time frame, or if you've got a short special, like Facebook ads actually run better for longer term things most of the time.
Yes, and that's like another common mistake I see is making lots of changes in quick succession and expecting them to work. Facebook, as much as Facebook is like a social media platform and you expect it to be kind of like pro change and you're like, we're innovative, kind of like a grumpy cat. You poke it too much and it's just not going to want to deal with you.
Like, I love that.
Yeah. It's like if you are sitting in your bed and then you move to your desk and then you go to the kitchen, that cat's going to be done with you. Facebook is the same. They don't like frequent changes or big changes frequently. So
yeah. Because how often should you, if you want to make it, obviously if you've got a typo, you can change that.
Yeah. So that's like a small change in your copy.
Yeah, but how often should you make a big change?
So say we're talking about changing like your budget, your audience, all that kind of stuff. You should wait at least 2 weeks before you can expect to see any like results.
Yeah.
So, and that's like, I wouldn't even recommend changing it at that point. But like 2 weeks gives Facebook enough time to put the thing into review, and then goes into the learning phase, which usually lasts a week.
This is when you're first starting, right? Like this is when you're first setting it up.
Oh no, even if you make a change, if you've got a funnel ready and you change the budget, it will re-go into learning.
Yeah.
Or if you change the audience, it will re-go into the learning phase. So like big changes that trigger that phase. So it takes a week for them to put it into the learning phase. And then to get the results back takes a while. And then with iOS 14, I don't know if you've noticed this as well. Maybe a couple of weeks ago, it said it took up to an additional 48 hours for results to show up, but now it's 72 hours. So say I click purchase on something from a shop. It might not show up in their results for 3 days. So we have to factor that in as well.
You could change 48 hours and then it was 72 hours.
Yeah, it's gone up recently.
It is slowing down. And you can still make little tweaks, like turning off. If one ad's really bombing.
Oh, yeah.
You can totally turn that off and those sort of things. But it's more just those big changes. It is a slower change.
Either campaign or ad set changes. Ad changes are a little bit like more okay.
Yes.
I wouldn't maybe recommend changing everything in your, say you have like everything in your funnel, I would probably change all of your ads because that's just going to knock your whole campaign for a loop. But say you wanted to update a photo or fix a typo or make sure your landing page link is correct, that kind of stuff. Those are quite small changes and they're okay to do.
And one thing I think I've said in another podcast before, but we do encourage, if you are changing budget, just go up in 20% increments.
Yes.
If you go, because it's kind of like blowing a balloon up and you kind of just want to blow it gradually, because if you go and put too much air in at once, it could just pop it and then it's not working. So you do need to kind of have it grow slowly, because what happens is Facebook kind of shows it to another group of people, and the further that balloon goes out, the less like those people are your ideal audience.
Yeah,
that's what that bigger budget does.
And sometimes if it's like a retargeting audience, so you give the Facebook the rules, so you're like, okay, I want you to show this ad to only people who've added to cart in the past 60 days. If you put in a whole heap of budget, it's just going to blow out the frequency. So how many times people within the ad set are going to see the ad? So if you put in a whole heap of budget, but your audience size doesn't change, you might end up showing it to them 10 times in a week. And if they were really hot, really engaged shoppers, that would almost maybe be okay. But if they're in that audience for 60 days, and they're seeing it 10 times a week, that's too many times.
It is.
They're going to get so frustrated with you. And you'll probably have your ad reported.
I was in a Facebook group that's full of Facebook ads people, and one of them said, help, I've just joined an agency. She's in New Zealand. I've just joined an agency, and they say our frequency should be 21 times.
What?
And all of us are like, no, 4 to 7. Crazy, right?
Oh my gosh.
We're like, oh, well, it does differ. And then she's like, it's 21. We're like, nope.
That's way too many times. So that's 3 times a day.
People. That's 3 times a day. It's a lot.
That's too many times.
So I think this has been really awesome. I've really enjoyed hanging out with you. This has really just been all about me hanging out with my eldest daughter. But if people want to work with us, like, how would they get in touch with us? I mean, I know, but I'll ask you.
You can go to identifymarketing.co.nz or .co.au if you're in Australia, or contact .com.au, yes, or contact Rachel at identifymarketing.co.nz.
That's me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being a guest today, Susie. I've so enjoyed it because I got to hang out with you, but also I like, what I think is great is that obviously I had a hand in training you initially, and I also gave you some other things for you to learn. But I've really loved watching you learn beyond some of my knowledge around how Facebook ads work, and through your testing, really learn some new ways, especially with the iOS 14 changes, and have really got your own way of seeing those results. Plus, for our clients, I've loved the fact that you've done that organizational thing of breaking into the window of my systems and then made these beautiful workbooks and things for our clients to use for they learn. Because one of the things I don't think we said was most of our clients, we train them in how to do their own ads.
Yes.
And so we'll set it up, we'll look after it for 3 months, and we'll report on it. But as we do that, we're slowly training and handing over so they can run their own if they want to.
Yeah.
And it is possible, isn't it? For even if you don't, you have to be like this mega technological wizard.
No,
to know how to do them once I set up.
I'm not a technological wizard.
Yes.
My main focus in marketing is on this content side. And luckily our other Facebook ads person, Tracy, is a genius.
She's a good genius. So, thank goodness for both of us.
Thank God. Because sometimes I'll find something and be like, I have no idea. So I'll reach out with you. You'll be like, I've never seen that before. And we'll contact Tracy, and she was like, I've got this.
I know, she's amazing.
Give me a couple days. Exactly. But yes, you don't have to be technological. You have to be maybe a minimum technologically savvy. But Facebook is actually really user-friendly. And if I am speaking to anybody who wants to run their own ads or needs to get started, my biggest piece of advice, and something I say to my clients as well, is don't be afraid to play around with it. Test stuff out. It gives you recommendations sometimes, and sometimes they're a little bit bad, but it gives you places to go. Their help center is really good. Test things out. I found that something that I find is really underutilized is collections, and I found that by playing around. And
we just talk about collections, and you love them.
I know. I love collections. Everybody should use collections. They're a combination of static or images, videos, and a dynamic product element, and people don't use them enough, and Facebook loves them. They push them out. Use collections.
There we go. You got to say it.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, we're going to end and I haven't said anything about collections. They're my bread and butter.
And also it's terrible because I normally will loop back and I just forgot because I was enjoying everything else you're saying.
It's fine. I got it in.
Thank you so much for being on the show. As normal, everybody, I will have a little blurb at the end with a few other bits and pieces that you can learn. I've made a note to put that YouTube video in for getting started with Facebook ads. You can contact us for us and also our Facebook group so you can join. And do also, if you know you need help with the marketing strategy part, we'll have a link in there for our My Map It Marketing Strategy School, which is now live, and you can be part of that. So, Susie, thank you so much for being part of today.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yay!
I loved having Susie on this episode. There are a few things that we talked about that I want to go through with you briefly from here. The first thing is, it is super important to have great organic social media before you jump into doing ads. There's a whole reason for that. One, it does definitely make the ads cheaper, but also if you can't grow organically from your material that you've already got and you're sharing, then the ads are going to be really expensive to run or may not convert at all. So you need to check that your organic marketing is really strong before you do any other ads and paid ads. The second thing is, so many of us are still doing Facebook ads the wrong way. Lots of boosting, using 1 or 2 ads for everything, and they're just seeing the same ads over and over again. The key is to create a lot of ads. You would have heard that, and testing. And it's really important, if you're going to run your own ads, you learn how to do it right. So there's some information there. Now, we have a marketing strategy course called the My Map It Marketing Strategy School. It's a really good way to just check your overall strategy, make sure everything's functioning right along that customer journey. If you know that you need that, you're not quite ready to work with a marketing strategist, but you know you need it, then I would recommend that. There is a link to that in the show notes. And next week, we are talking to an amazing guest. His name is Matthew. He is the co-founder with his wife of an app called #Slayer, which I love and I am obsessed with. Since I started using it, it has really revolutionized the way I do hashtags. And we're going to talk about whether hashtags are dead, because we see a lot of people saying they are. And we're going to talk about whether that's true and how to best use hashtags in 2022. Look forward to you checking it out then. If you love what you heard today, be sure to hit subscribe. And if you loved this episode in particular, I'd love it if you shared it on social media. Remember to tag me in so I can say thank you. Have a great week, and we'll talk soon.